What does it mean to never truly be born? In our everyday lives, we carry the belief that we were born on a specific day, at a specific time, and that one day, we will inevitably die. These concepts are deeply ingrained in our minds from the moment we're introduced to the world. But what if I told you that this understanding of birth and death and of your very existence is simply a myth? What if you were never truly born? What if you will never truly die, at least not in the way we traditionally understand it? These aren't just philosophical musings or metaphysical riddles. They're invitations to look deeper into the fabric of your existence. Beneath the surface, there's a truth that transcends the story of birth, growth, aging, and death. A truth so profound that it shatters our conventional understanding of self. In this exploration, we'll look beyond the boundaries of birth and death, ego and identity, to uncover the timeless awareness that is always present, beneath every fleeting thought and emotion, beyond every memory, and before every label we place on ourselves. This is the essence of your true nature, infinite, timeless, and untouched by the transient forces of the world. Take a deep breath. Relax your mind. What we are about to dive into is not something you need to learn or acquire. It's something you need to remember, something that has always been there, waiting for you to awaken to it. Let's begin with a concept most of us take as a given: birth and death. From the moment you take your first breath, a narrative begins to form. You're born in a specific place, at a specific time, and from that moment onward, you begin to build a life story. We associate ourselves with this story: our family, our friends, our name, our achievements, and even our struggles. And just as we define our lives with these stories, we also define our end: death. It seems like a natural progression of life. You're born, you live, and then you die. That's the story we know. But have you ever stopped to wonder, what if these stories are just that, stories? Take a moment to reflect on the ocean. Imagine a wave crashing onto the shore. From a distance, it seems like a unique, individual phenomenon. But is it really separate from the ocean? In truth, there's no such thing as a separate wave. The wave is simply the ocean in motion, appearing as something distinct, but fundamentally part of the same vast, unchanging body of water. The wave rises, crests, and falls, but it is never truly born, nor does it ever die. It is simply an expression of the ocean. Similarly, you, your life, your body, your thoughts, are like waves on the surface of an infinite ocean of awareness. You are not a separate, individual being that was born at a certain moment and destined to die at another. You are the ocean itself, always present, always here, always aware. Birth and death, from this perspective, are merely concepts of the mind. They are points on the surface of the ocean of existence, but they do not define your true nature. Your true essence is the ocean, the timeless, boundless awareness that is constantly in the background of every thought, every feeling, every experience. Birth and death don't apply to this awareness. It simply is. Now let's explore the concept of the ego. Most of us live with the belief that the ego, our sense of self, is who we truly are. It's the voice in our head, constantly narrating our thoughts and feelings. It says things like, "I need this," "I want that," "I am good at this," or "I'm afraid of that." This voice, this narrative, seems so real. It feels like the essence of who we are. But if we take a closer look, we begin to realize that the ego is not as solid and permanent as we once thought. In truth, the ego is not who you are. It's a construct, a collection of thoughts, memories, desires, and beliefs that you've picked up along the way. It's not a fixed entity. It's constantly changing, constantly shifting, based on the circumstances of your life and the stories you tell yourself about who you are. Think of your ego as a cloud. A cloud appears in the sky, seemingly distinct and separate from the vast expanse of the atmosphere. But if you look closely, you'll see that the cloud is simply a temporary formation of water vapor. It comes into existence, and eventually it dissipates and merges back into the sky. It is never truly separate from the sky. Similarly, your ego comes into being in response to external stimuli, but it is never truly separate from the awareness in which it arises. You are not your ego. You are the awareness that observes the thoughts and feelings that make up the ego. This understanding can be liberating. When you realize that you are not the voice in your head, that you are not the collection of memories, fears, and desires, you free yourself from the cycle of constant self-definition. You begin to see that the self is just an idea, a fleeting thought that arises in awareness. And when you stop identifying with that thought, you begin to experience true freedom. Now that we've explored the concepts of birth, death, and ego, let's turn our attention to something even deeper: awareness itself. Awareness is the unchanging backdrop of your existence. Thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall. But awareness, the ability to perceive, to know, to be conscious of these experiences, remains unchanged. Awareness is like the sky in which the clouds of thought and emotion pass by. The sky doesn't change, it simply holds the clouds. Similarly, awareness doesn't change, it simply holds all of your experiences. Take a moment to focus on your breath. Notice the rising and falling of the chest. Now, notice the space between your breaths, the stillness, the pause. This is the stillness of awareness, the space in which all experiences arise and dissolve. When you begin to rest in this awareness, you realize that you are not the thoughts or emotions that arise in your mind. You are the awareness in which these things appear. And just like the ocean, which is unaffected by the waves on its surface, you, as awareness, are unaffected by the content of your mind. This is the heart of spiritual awakening, the realization that you are not the body, you are not the thoughts, you are not the ego. You are the awareness that witnesses all of these things. And when you identify with awareness rather than the thoughts and feelings that arise within it, you step into a place of true peace and stillness. As you begin to understand the nature of awareness, you'll notice that separateness, the idea that you are a separate individual, isolated from everyone and everything else, begins to dissolve. You see that the boundaries between you and the world around you are not as real as they seem. Think about the space you're in right now. Notice the walls, the furniture, the objects around you. You might perceive these things as separate from yourself, but on a deeper level, there's no real separation. Everything in the room, the air, the objects, the sounds, is part of the same field of awareness. In the same way, you are not separate from the world around you. You are not an isolated individual. You are the awareness that pervades everything. Your body, your thoughts, and the people around you are simply expressions of this shared awareness. When you realize that there is no real separateness between you and the world, life begins to flow with a new sense of ease. You stop trying to defend an individual identity. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop clinging to the illusion of separateness. This shift in perspective changes the way you relate to others. Instead of seeing them as separate beings with their own egos, you begin to see them as expressions of the same awareness. And as you let go of the need to define yourself as separate, you begin to experience deeper, more authentic connections with others. As you begin to embrace this new understanding, you may find yourself living more fully in the moment. You become less attached to your thoughts, your desires, and your ego. You become more present to life as it unfolds. Living in the flow of awareness doesn't mean detaching from life or becoming passive. It means engaging with life from a place of deep presence, without the constant need to control or define it. When you stop identifying with the ego, you open yourself to the full richness of the present moment. Think about a time when you felt truly alive, when you were completely immersed in an activity, without thinking about past or future, without worrying about who you were or how you were being perceived. In those moments, you were fully in the flow. You were not separate from the experience. You were the experience itself. This is what it means to live in the flow of awareness. When you are not caught up in the stories of the ego, you are free to be fully present with whatever arises. You become a vessel for life itself, moving with it, without resistance. Finally, we come to the heart of the matter: freedom. When you realize that you are not the ego, that you are not the body, and that you are not the story of your life, you experience a profound sense of freedom. You are free from the need to constantly define yourself. You are free from the fear of judgment, the fear of failure, and the fear of death. You are free to simply be. This freedom doesn't mean detaching from life. It means being fully engaged with life, without the burden of an ego-driven narrative. You live with the knowledge that you are not defined by your thoughts, your actions, or your experiences. You are the timeless awareness that holds them all. When you live from this place, you move through the world with a sense of grace and ease. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself or protect your identity. You simply are. So take a deep breath once more. Remember who you truly are, the infinite awareness that transcends time, space, and form. In this space, there is no birth, no death, no ego, no separateness. There is only you, pure, timeless, and free. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated about future uploads.